those of you who celebrate Thanksgiving, from our family to yours, is that Thanksgiving enough? Wow.
So today we're recapping the Venture Brothers, season
No.
1, episode 1. Oh.
No.
No, back to the boring stuff.
House of DVF, The Bitch is Out of the Bag, season 1, episode 4. They're doing the sales event at Bergdorf's, and they have to sell stuff, and Abigail's like doesn't do that great selling the stuff, but they give her like a really hard time about how she's dressed. I didn't think it was that great, but then they were like, she's here in lingerie, and I was like, is that what lingerie looks like? Because
who cares?
Anyway, oh sorry. Moving along, Gina, Brittany, and Abigail go out drinking, and I don't know why they have so much of that kind of stuff. But then the next day, the lady from DVF was like, Gina, you look hungover. And she did not look hungover. Like, unless everything we've ever heard about the camera adding 10 pounds and making you look bad is false, she looked good. She didn't look any different than any other day. So unless there's some sort of magic anti-hangover filter, I didn't buy it. I do buy it. The producers are like, oh yeah, they were out drinking and Gina got totally wasted and was throwing up. And then she's like, oh okay, yeah, I can see that, and went with it. Oh, and guess what? That dress design thing from last episode, they finished it up. So it's like weird because it's like someone said, let's do a competition show. And they're like, well, do you have any experience with it? And they're like, no. Okay, well, let's just make it anyway. This is break every rule, but it's not going to be new and different. It's going to be like you don't know how to do one. So we saw the dress design, kind of. That's the weird thing. We didn't actually see the designs. We saw the guy talk about designs, and we kind of saw designs in the screen, and then he just randomly picked people and didn't even write down who, because I don't know if it even matters, right?
Because who cares?
Because who cares? So they're doing this intimate event. Everybody's got 12 people. 2 are going off for picking a space. 2 are supposed to get decor, and 2 are supposed to get flowers and stuff. And it's
clear that both places paid to be advertised, so they used both places in this stupid episode of this stupid show.
Because they mentioned them a lot.
Well, and they did that meeting after they're going to do it in
the one that did the fig and olive.
The olive and the fart or whatever.
Fig and olive. But it's like, what's the other thing that's weird is like every episode they decide like we're going to typecast one of the characters. So like last time it was Kier, was a bitch. She was awful. And all it was footage of her being awful. And then this episode, it was like a different person. We didn't even really see much of her. And when we did see her, she totally wasn't acting like that. Even though every other time we saw her, she was just awful. Well, this time they decided that Gina's a drunk and that Brittany is a bitch. And so it was like every single time Brittany was on the screen, she was a bitch. And so you're kind of like, okay, I don't really buy into the like, it's all in the editing. I just don't believe it. I don't think it's possible. But this is about as heavy-handed of editing as you can get. Because it's like all of a sudden they're like, Brittany's a bitch and it's only footage. And maybe, possibly that's the case, like her front, she's been putting up dropped. But then also, now they're like super heavy-handed with Gina's a drunk. And then they've forgotten about from last week, Kier was awful. So now they're like, oh, well, no, Kier's just another girl with an opinion. So you're kind of like, this is really, I don't know. Anyway, there's some friction between Amanda and Brittany because Brittany's kind of micromanaging, which I did see from her behavior. And then Amanda's being a little bit too, like, sometimes you can just be like, okay, and just move on. You don't need to address every wrong you have.
You do when the producers tell you to.
Good point. So DVF calls in Amanda and talks to her and kind of gives her that kind of advice, like, the more confident you get, you don't need to prove your point. So Amanda's like, okay, I'm gonna take responsibility for my part of the thing, and she calls Brittany outside, and Brittany's like, whoa, girl, if I was someone different, I would beat you down. And I was like, I don't know if that is a reasonable response. Like, I didn't see Amanda having beat up worthy behavior. Like, she wasn't stealing anyone's boyfriend. She wasn't planting fake, I don't know. What did you think? Did you think it was an unusually strong response on Brittany's part?
She did what the producers told her, and
Okay. Apparently John's done recapping the show and is just gonna blame everything on.
It's an awful
producers.
show, and I hope DVF goes out of business because she put her name on the line for this crap.
That's some really strong feelings. You're gonna take down an entire company over a bad TV show?
So I think she's taking it down herself.
Okay. Anyway, they're all out, and who got called in? Abs
Amanda.
and no. At the end, Abigail and they had the lunch. The lunch was really good. Everyone liked it. Brittany gets invited to sit down for lunch, and of course all the other girls are like, ugh.
So if you behave badly,
Right.
you get rewarded.
That's pretty much it. And then we get right down to the end. DVF calls 2 girls into her office, and then my DVR cut off. And I looked online, and apparently it was a cliffhanger. And I was like, oh, why did I watch this episode? I easily could have just not watched it. Was that your vote? Anyway, the show for me is really struggling. And I agree, though, it's making DVF look a little unhinged. Because, we're all watching going, this girl's awful.
There's no...
This behavior's unacceptable.
There's no contest involved. There's just a bunch of
random event.
bullshit thrown together at the last second, it seems. And
then they just randomly
and then they make
roll
up
a dice.
drama.
And then they throw someone out. Okay, that's the show. Happy Turkey Day.